Paris City Council. At this point, we call the meeting to order. We'll ask Reverend Price to give the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Aaron Jenkins. If you'd all please rise.
Y'all stand, please. Bow your heads. Heavenly and gracious Father, we come today asking for blessings on this city council, as they may be led in the right direction to help the citizens of Paris, Texas. Father, we ask you that their heads be clear, their minds be opened up to all suggestions and things that come their way. Father, we ask the name of the thing, and we ask blessings on the city of Paris and Lamar County. In the name of the Son, Jesus, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move to the Citizens Forum on item number 4. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentations to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Please keep in mind claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personnel appeals, are not appropriate for the Citizens Forum. If anyone would like to speak, please come forward at this time. State your name and address. Thanks.
My name is James Price, I live at 1230 Shiloh, Paris, Texas. Good evening, gentlemen. How you doing? I come to ask you today concerning the Department of Public Works. They need more help. 10 more people would be a big help, so when you do the budget planning, please put this on the agenda. I ask because the city needs places cut and taken care of. They can't do it like they're doing. They need more help over there. Think about this. People they got, they do the best they can with what they got. Please think about this. Also, I ask you to place City Council Person Sue Lancaster on the subcommittee, on the subcommittee for the study of mobile homes, RV, and prefabricated homes in Paris, Texas. The reason being, her district is most affected by this outcome that we, and 180-day moratorium on. Also, the PEDC, why can citizens of Paris see this? Is our city and not just the council. So please let us see reports on the PEDC. Please give it to the city of Paris, to the citizens here. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Price.
Ladies, gentlemen, my name is LaVonna White, and I have 2 questions. Anyway, are y'all aware of the NDAA, National Defense? I forget it. National Defense something Authorization Act. Okay, that says that the government can come in and take any of your citizens without cause. Okay? The second part is, do y'all know about PANDA, which is People Against the NDAA? Just food for thought.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Mosley, live at 3915. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Shannon, last time I talked to Don Wilson, better known as Picky Wilson, wanted to clear up some stuff I said last time. He sold Roger and Wade to the Harper family in 1998. He has never received any money or abatement while he owned Roger Wade from the PEDC. HWA is now owned by the Harper family. He is partnered with the Harper family only and other individuals on some land inside the city of Paris. I would just like to make a comment that I would like to see the executive sessions of the PEDC turn more into open meetings so we can actually find out what's going on and have confidence in the board and what they are doing. I've also have learned that council members must pay for paperwork, if they request it. I feel like y'all all come up here with no salary, lots of work, and I feel like the citizens of Paris, if y'all need any paperwork done, we should pay that bill.
Thank you, Dr. Mosley.
Louise Mosley, live at 3915 Shannon Street. Last time I was here, I made a comment on Don Wilson, and I'd like to clarify it. Don Wilson called our home, and he wanted to make it clear on my statement about the conflict of interest. In my opinion, Don Wilson is too involved personally with his family members being involved in the Diefenbaum investigation. He is now in position to make decisions on the investigation.
Ms. Mosley, can
Yes.
you please speak in the mic? I can't hear.
Can't hear? Can we start over? Did you hear any of it?
Well, we heard it, but if you can speak just a little louder.
Well, he is now in position to make a decision on the investigation, which you now, all of us, know that you voted him in. You knew he could do that. He is not personally involved under the investigation. Thank you.
Anyone else desiring to speak at this time? If not, will, Mr. Gladfelter, are you going to speak or no? Okay. Then we'll close the citizens forum and move on to the consent agenda. Do any of the council members have any items from the consent agenda that they would like to discuss? If not, then I'll take a motion on the consent agenda.
Make the
Got a
motion.
motion by Dr. Hashmi. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Lancaster. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you very much. Move on to item number 13. Janice?
Discuss and approve a memorandum of understanding between the City of Paris and First United Methodist Church for a spray park.
Okay, and folks, before we move on to this item, Mr. Godwin has kind of informed me that they're going back and forth between attorneys, so at this point, there's still nothing to discuss by the council. I know we had some information in our packets, but John, is that?
Correct. I met with by phone today with the pastor from the church, Rob Spencer, and we both agreed it would be best to table this, or not table this item. It's on the table now, just to pass over this item until August 25th.
Okay. Any heartburn from the council as a whole? If not, we'll move to item 14. Janice?
Discuss and act on bidding the next construction phase of the 2013 capital improvement program.
All right. Mr. Godwin?
Well, I will again call on the AECom folks. You guys talked about this 2 weeks ago when we talked about the bid, and they, Nick and Don are here from AECom to talk about where to go from here as far as rebidding the project, whether we bid it bigger, smaller, the same size. And so I'll just turn it over to whichever of those guys Don looks like is going to talk.
Good evening, Don DeAdam with AECom. Thank you for taking your time out this evening. John, are you driving there? Thank you. Brief but informative presentation for you to think about here this evening. Recent ongoing activities on the program, the options moving forward, the pros and cons of those options, and then recommendation of the direction forward, and I suppose some discussion thereafter. So just a reminder here, the program has been broken up into 5 separate contracts. Contract A was bid, Contract B and is under construction. Contract B, when bid was received, the bid was rejected. We'll go a little bit into those details. And then C, D, and E, you can see the details of where we're at on our design efforts. Everything is going smoothly, other than this fork in the road with B here. So Contract B, we talked about this last time, but just a little bit more chronology for you and your thinking.
The advertisement happened in June. The bid opening was on July 1st. We worked with the city engineer and manager to evaluate the bid. We reached out to the contractor supplier community to hear what the market is telling us. Met with the engineer manager to review the results and recommend to reject bid. And then on the 28th, the last council meeting, you all approved and accepted that and asked us for the options moving forward. So that's what we're here to talk about this evening. Major options moving forward. Option 1 is our current path. We bid one contract, and there's 4 remaining contracts, roughly capital dollar value of $7 to $8 million each. Option 2, which is the fork to the north, on top of the image there, is smaller contracts. That's essentially what we recommended at the last session. And option 3 is the large contract, and we'd like to sort of talk through the pros and cons of that. And I'll slow down and go a little bit more in depth there because these slides could get a little busy here. When we first started the program with y'all, we felt that there was a couple key guiding principles that were important to you, and that sort of formed our opinion of how we also talked about the pros and cons this evening. Number 1, how this program would impact the community, primarily the traffic disruption due to construction. The impact to the city staff resources. We recognize there's a finite amount of city staff resources, and we didn't want to overwhelm them, especially as it got to administering the contracts, the procurements, and then oversight during construction. We actually share resources during construction was the idea there for oversight. The impact on the local economy, we felt that even some of our teammates on the team, that was important for the engineering component, and then even in the construction contract to make sure that we develop bid packages that allow for local participation and employment. Also the program schedule, so we'll talk through that criteria, fast, slow, and the time to complete the construction, the pros and cons of that. And then the engineering cost impact, but particularly since we've already completed quite a bit of the design here, this really gets into the oversight during construction. And you'll see that fast or slow has some impacts in terms of that oversight during construction to ensure quality, and that directly impacts our contract, and we want you to know that up front here. This is really the overall summary. Engineers like tables. We like waiting in tables and everything here. This may take a little bit to digest here, but option 1, which is the current path we're on, which is the medium-sized contracts, if you will, is sort of the baseline there. And really what this slide is saying, as you go to option 2 and option 3, that the minuses are, potentially counter to those criteria and guiding principles there. So with option 2, if we went to smaller contracts, there's some pros and cons of that. And we didn't quite get into that in detail last time, so let's jump into that briefly here. We feel that could have less impacts to the residents and community because you'd have smaller packages around town. That could provide, because the market's telling us, for more dollars to flow to local contractors and suppliers. There would be some impact to city staff resources and engineering contracts because there'd be more contracts that they'd have to help us procure and let. And could lengthen our services because it lengthens the program schedule there and have that higher impact on the program schedule. The larger contract would have higher impact to the residents and community because you'd have more construction activity possibly going on at one time. The city staff resources, and it would also impact city staff resources because it'd be shorter duration and more oversight required, and just it would tax the resources potentially there. And then the opportunity, but the opportunity is to complete the program sooner than currently scheduled. Let me go into each of these, and please slow me down if you want to. I'll jump into some of those criteria just to give you a little bit more sense of what I'm talking about. So the impact on the community, the smaller contracts, this may be a little tough to see there, but contract A is in the lower left-hand corner of that. Contract B is at, let's say, the 9 o'clock position. Contract C is at the 5 o'clock position, and D is at the 12 midnight position, and then E is over on the right-hand side. So with the smaller contracts, you would go through A, B, C, D, and E over a time frame there in those dates, and you can see that you would roughly end in 2017 when you go to the smaller contracts. That's what the slight extension would result in there from our current path. Click, please. And if you went to smaller contracts, you would finish in the first half of 2015 there. Excuse me, go back there. I'm sorry, he's quoted that wrong. 2016, there was that graphic in the lower left-hand corner is a hangover there because that's contract A already going on. I apologize. It'd be late 2016 there. So it roughly about, what does that result in, Nick? About a 6 months to a year's efficiency between those two options there. Any questions there before I? Okay, just want to make sure I'm throwing a lot of information at you there. The impact to the local economy, these are relative to each other. Please don't take these as absolute dollar values, but the current path we're on has sort of a shared equitable blend of local contractors and suppliers and non-local contractors and suppliers. With option 2, the smaller contracts, that provides a slightly more opportunity for local contractors and suppliers, and option 3, slightly less. These are not major percentages, but we want you to know that there will be percentages impacts as best as we can tell. Engineers like graphs as well. This, if you really study it, does sum up a lot of things here. The current path we are on, and this is really time on the lower axes there over time, but vertically, it really talks about resources and people you need. And there's a limitation to resources within the city, and that's the dashed line. So with option 1, the green line, we designed a path that went to 2017, March 2017, at least as it's shown on the graph there. And there's some impact to staff, and that's what we help by supplementing staff and helping with where that green line passes over there. Option 2, you spread it out over time, so there's less impact to staff, but it may just be slightly over the staffing capabilities, and we'd help it out, and of course it stretches out the schedule. And then option 3 has major impact. We have a couple people out there right now overseeing the construction. This could be multiple folks watching this all over the city. So that's basically what we're intending to tell you there. One more, please. And so the direction forward is back to this graphic again. We basically are recommending that the first package for contract B be re-advertised in September. We're ready to do that right now. It would be smaller than the previous one, $3 to $4 million, and then we would follow the next package with that 3 to 4 months later, and you'd see that occur down the chain there. And we'd report back to council on that progress. Again, we cannot predict the market. We're recommending a general direction to go in, which is these smaller $3 to $4 million packages, and go in that direction for the near term and be accountable to you all. With that, we'll open it up to questions.
Anyone have any questions this time?
I do.
Yes. Go right ahead, Dr. Ashman.
Let me ask you to bring the graph back up first of all, the second last slide. The one before this. The yellow line is option 3.
Correct.
You said that in your presentation, you said that the work will be finished in 2015. Why does the line go to December 2016 if the work is already finished? What is the resources required after the work is finished to December of 2016?
You would have some closeout issues that may not tax city resources there, so that would fall on us.
Okay, but what I'm
sometimes
asking
you have
is,
substantial and final completion with the contract there.
okay, so you're saying that the work will not be finished in 2015?
What did we have for option?
You said that.
Yeah, option 3, I thought we had 2016. I hope that's not a...
Go back, please, to the first second slide. Yeah, option 3. Option 3 is the larger contract, and you said that the advantage of this is to finish the program sooner than currently scheduled, and then you said that it'll finish in 2015.
I must have misspoke. Can you go forward one slide here? There you go. So there's the end date there. If I misspoke, I apologize. So November 2016, hopefully that matches up and I haven't
All right, so
made a
that was
typo
one
there.
question. The second question that I have is that the last time when you presented, you said that part of the reason why we may have gotten a single bid is some of the smaller contractors which bid around $7-8 million are too busy working other contracts. Is that correct? That's what you said last time?
That was the information we received, is timing. Timing did have something to do with that as well.
What has changed this time? That you are suggesting that go to smaller bids?
The market is telling us that a lot more firms can be attracted to smaller packages and smaller bonding.
Market has changed in the last 2 weeks?
No, sir, I'm repeating what was intended to be said last time, is that the market is such that we were between the size of contracts is basically what I was saying. And so the smaller firms, more smaller qualified firms are likely to show up when we rebid this.
Okay. The third question that I have for you is, you have them marked as blue, purple, pink, and green, etc. When you talk about disturbance to the residents of the community, the disturbance in each of these is in different sections of the town. They're not in same sections of the town. So contract A is in one section, B is in C. They're all in different sections. So yes, there is inconvenience to people, but aren't they in different sections of town? They're not in the same sections of town?
Correct, but the different options will have it not overlap as much, such that with the last option, option 3, you could have similar construction level activities going on in various parts of town.
All right.
Versus other parts of town which may be subsiding.
Okay. The next question that I have is, the costs that you have seen between 2012 and 2014, have the construction costs gone up?
That's such a local question. I don't know if I can answer that, because in general, throughout Texas, I would say construction material costs have gone up.
Okay. Did you calculate that into the equation, that maybe if we can finish the project sooner, that the cost would be lower?
I'm not here to comment on whether the cost could be lower or not. I'm here really to talk about the speed and the timing. We can't predict the market from that sense.
Okay.
That would be an advantage if you think you're going to capture it, but we are not managing the spot market of pipe or Portland cement.
Okay. Another question that I have is, as far as your comment on local contractors being benefited is concerned, local contractors will still benefit from, even if it's a larger contract, because first of all, we can make our own rules and say that a certain percentage has to be given to local contractors. That's number one. Number two is that it does not preclude local contractors from bidding in the project. Now, some of them may not have that high insurances, etc., but with your own contract, wasn't it that 2 other local contractors, or let's say 2 other local engineering firms, got together with you with a certain percentage of them and a certain percentage of you, so that we both had local participation and other participation? So how do you say that local contractors will not benefit? Local contractors, on the other hand, can very much benefit from even a bigger contract. It just depends on the rules that we make as a council. Correct?
Yeah, not to mince words, but I never said that local contractors would benefit more. I was saying that the volume of work coming to the local contractors could potentially be higher. And what I don't deny what you're saying, in that a large contractor could come to town under option 3, bring in every small contractor in town. They would benefit from that, but there would be a portion of work going to the firm out of town, and that would be a slightly different mix than option 2. And I'm just saying that there would be a slightly larger percentage than the current option 1 or option 2 that would not stay with the local contractors.
Okay. As far as resources of the city and engineering department is concerned, you've already done the engineering on quite a number of projects, correct?
Correct.
What more engineering is required from the city as far as, wouldn't you think, I mean, again, this is a doctor talking, not an engineer talking.
Correct.
I would think that a single bid would be easier to manage, being given out en masse, rather than keep doing smaller bids over and over and publicizing it and then receiving the bids and then acting on them. What do you think about that?
So there's the procurement of each of those packages, and then there's the construction oversight. I agree that the procurement of multiple packages could be a little bit more work for the city. The actual engineering or the construction oversight is really what I wanted to focus a lot on, in that one of the things we've been talking about is utilizing and maximizing city resources as much as possible with the construction oversight. Currently, our team is doing the majority of the oversight on the first contract, but over time we would engage some of city staff so that you're not paying for consultants to do all the construction oversight. And so let me try and quantify that for you a little bit. So if you stretched out these contracts over time, you could have 2 people doing that over time. That could be someone from us, someone from the city doing that over time. If you shorten it, that could be, that could be half a dozen people that are required by ourselves or the city to oversight and ensure quality while those activities are going on around town there and following the contractor while they do their work there.
Okay. One other thing that I think we had discussed even at the time when we awarded you the contract was the fact that the city staff, I think these were your comments, that the city staff gets overburdened. They already have a lot of work to do anyway. So at that point we had thought that we would need an oversight, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we would need an oversight from outside engineers on this, on watching the project, how it went, etc. And I think we also had some issue with the last contract that we awarded. Is that not correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Okay, thank you. Great questions.
Anyone else have any questions this time? I have just a couple, if you have just a second. From what I'm hearing you say is, well, what I don't like is I don't like the potential of giving up economies of scale if you're talking about smaller projects and the volume that generates. So when, and to kind of piggyback on what Dr. Hashmi said, whenever the contract was awarded to you guys the first time, where did we miss the mark, or someone missed the mark as far as only having one bid in terms of just where the market potential actually was for this? Was there any way to see this coming now in retrospect, or?
No. It's a tough question. When we scoped the project, when we presented to council, I think there was some debate between one contract and more than one contract, and then we sort of picked the middle of the road option to scope the contract around, not having any prediction of what the market would bear. And again, there was probably discussions of go even smaller at that time. We felt that there were, we'd pick that option and move forward with that as the basis of the scope there, with the intent of benefiting the local economy.
And with respect to making the contracts even smaller, I mean, I think that's kind of where I would probably draw in. But be that as it may, with trying to get, from what I'm hearing you say, there are different plateaus of contractors that, you've got the real big guys that are doing work in Dallas, and, you kind of scale down. So that opens up the pool, I guess. How confident or not confident do you feel about rearranging the scope size? Obviously, you're recommending it, so I assume you feel pretty confident. But Can you give us some insight as far as what makes that a different decision? You know, the rationale behind, you know, smaller equals more. I don't disagree with it. I just kind of want to hear your take.
Please clarify smaller equals more. there.
Well, if you change the project size,
Mhm.
I mean, we missed the last time. Raising it up, the guys that can do the larger projects are fewer and far between, so
Mhm.
we stand to reason that if you bump down the plateau, you know, in your experience, has this been a fruitful venture if, you know, you learn from your mistakes and move
Yeah,
on?
Well, I'll say this, you listen to the market, and the contractors and suppliers are saying smaller. That's what they'll bond, because what we perceive as bigger here, the part of what we're hearing as well, just want to clarify this, 25, 28 million may not be big enough for some of those other firms. So I take that comment for what it's worth. The other driving factor I think that's out there is the guiding principles by which we do this work for you as well. We wanted to make sure that that was in tune with those as well. And we felt that smaller was also in tune with the guiding principles of not disrupting the community, trying to drive opportunities into the local economy. And sometimes that can offset with cost. There.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have any
Yes,
questions?
I do. I think you never answered the question, but how confident are you that if you break it down into small packages, that you're going to get 3 or 4 or more?
I can't predict the market.
You can't.
I can only do what the market's telling me.
So you're not confident either way. You don't know. If you go big or if you go small, you don't know.
Don't know.
Right.
The market will dictate.
Okay.
I have a question. If we left it the same as it is now, the $7 or $8 million packages, do you feel like we might draw any more bidders, or would we only get the same bidder again, or would you be likely to not want to rebid that project?
Yeah, I just judging by what we're hearing from the local marketplace, I think you'll have more limited responsible bidders, because it'll be between.
Okay, thank you.
Sue, sure.
So you're indicating from the market, excuse me, that there are probably several other large contracts going on at the same time?
Timing was an issue. That was some of the feedback we got from contractors on the backside of the last bid. That there
Do you
was
have
other
any
ones,
idea?
there was other competitive bids going on in other marketplaces that maybe they allocated their time to.
Do you have any way to indicate how close they are to their completion?
The other projects?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we can do there, again, is do our best to try and time it and ask the contractors that have come and shown interest here. I mean, that's the frustrating part sometimes, is that you get interest, they say they're going to show up. We had 3 to 5 that were indicating they were going to submit a bid for B and then did not.
You have no
So-
idea why they did not?
You know, they either were off bidding another project or on vacation, or, you know, you never know. And so that is the frustrating part. But we will, you know, the good news is we have this list of
So we
contractors that are out there that have bid on two projects right now, and
So it
we will
didn't
generate
appear-
that interest again.
Didn't appear attractive enough for them to show up.
Not at that particular week.
Anybody else have any questions? We do. I mean, it's listed as an item we need to provide direction to staff. If anybody has any thoughts on this,
Can I
would
start?
you like to start?
Yeah,
You
sure.
bet.
I have just a few comments. You don't have to stand because this is not questions for you now. It's council
It's
discussion.
consent? Okay, well, if you need me back up, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My first thought on this is that as far as local contractors are concerned, I think part of the reason why we selected AECom was the fact that Mr. Hayter was with them and HWH was with them. And I think that's a good idea. I think local contractors should be part of it. We are spending taxpayers' money and they should benefit from it. So I have no doubts about that. But by the same token, part of the reason why we selected AECOM and the combination was the fact that it's a bigger company and we wanted the project done faster. So at this point, to change direction and say that now we want to do it slow, it doesn't make much sense to me. And I would go back to, I think Mr. Frierson was the one who did think about giving multiple smaller contracts at various times, correct me if I'm wrong, and I didn't agree with you at that time. So I would say that keeping in line with what our direction is, we should maintain that direction. Number two was, if we were to give it in small bits, well, we should have just given Mr. Hayter the chance that over the next 10 years, we should have kept bidding and asking him to do the engineering repeatedly, and that would have kept all the money in town. But at some point, AECOM benefited, but all of, the city benefited from a fast track too. And so, again, the same thing, I don't think we should take at this point or change the direction. Number two is, people are going to be inconvenienced irrespective of the size of the contract. Whether you are on Church Street and you got inconvenienced because that work didn't get done forever, or whether 5 places in town are going to be disturbed, nothing is going to make it easier on the residents of this community as far as time is concerned. I think, personally, I feel that, and I may be wrong, but that get all the inconvenience in one go and be done and over with. Now, the third thing I'd like to say is that we have already bidded it once and it didn't work out. We always have the choice of saying, if we get a larger contractor and his overhead is high or we think that it's too expensive, we can always say no. There is no compulsion on the council that if we get a bid that we must approve. We can decide that, well, it looks too expensive. We have waited for the last 60 years for changing. If it takes another 2 bids before we finally get to the point that we like it, we can wait on that. Is there a restriction on that? No. So what I would do personally is that I would give a larger, I would combine them and let them be bidded out as one big bid and wait and see what the bids look like. If the bids don't look like we like them, we simply say, no, this didn't work, change it, go back into smaller bidding and do as he's suggesting, do smaller bids. Now you can go the other way too. You can bid it small and then see what bids you get and then see, you can combine them later if you don't like the bid. But that's just a personal feeling that at this point we have tried the smaller bid. Let's see if we can get larger bidders to come into the picture and decide at that point that, well, we like it or we don't like it or it's too expensive but I think let's at least try it without spending too much more time of what happens. So those would be the 3 comments that I'd like to make. As far as, actually one other thing that I'd like to say is cost of construction has gone up. Cost of construction will continue to go up. And I think the sooner we finish, yes, there may be some extra charge for having a bigger overhead with a bigger company, but if it offsets the cost by having a cheaper completion dollar amount, I would favor that. So those would be my 3 or 4 points. I don't think I have written anything else.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Okay,
Edwin,
I'd like to say something. When AECOM was hired by the previous council, I assume that they were hired because of their abilities and the council had confidence in their decisions. What I'm hearing now is that they're recommending that we go to a smaller contract because of what the market that's out there now. And as you indicated, 7 million is obviously bigger than 4 million. It's a medium range size, but we don't know if but it may be the bottom end of the middle range, and the top end of the middle range may be $25,000, $30,000. Either way, it's still the middle range. I know that if the local vendors or local contractors had an opportunity to bid, I think that would benefit the citizens of Paris even more, because again, those funds would be utilized in Paris and Lamar County. And if we step back and remember, several years ago, there was a large project that was done with an outside bidder, an outside construction company and whatnot, to build a high school, and that left a lot of bad feelings in or bad taste in the mouths of citizens of Paris, because a lot of that was done outside because it was a big contract and it went to a big outside construction company, and the local vendors or local contractors didn't benefit from that like they would have liked, and I think like we would have liked to have seen that happen. So my thought is I would rather see us take their suggestion and go with the smaller contracts, because that's where the market is, and it would benefit this council as well as benefit the citizens of Paris.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments? Richard?
I tend to want to agree that we should maybe take the recommendations of our staff and AECom and go with smaller bids this time. When you say that we should just get all the inconvenience over at one time, well, it could be your worst nightmare if Lamar, Clarksville, and Pine Bluff were all shut down with construction. Getting from the east to the west side would be hellacious, and then throw on top of that if somebody, the state's doing some work on the loop like they do periodically in the summertime. So I think it might be more wise to see what happens with the smaller bids, and even though it might take 6 months to a year longer.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think for me, I actually agree with a lot of what Dr. Hashmi says about the economies of scale, and on paper, I see that bigger scope in terms of moving forward and being able to move the town forward as a whole, and making sure we're doing what's best for all of the citizens of Paris, and doing it in the most economical and efficient way possible. And you certainly get that with some of the larger contracts. I guess the part that I'm having trouble with is getting over the fact that if another month or 2 months go by and we get one bid again, or we don't get any bids because we haven't reached that next plateau, I know I'm playing the what if game, but while I agree with a lot of what Dr. Hashmi said, I can't get past the fact that the people that we've hired and the city staff have kind of scratched their heads over this, and this is what they recommend. So I guess I would have to defer to them as well with the smaller contracts. I don't know, how, Benny or Sue or Aaron, if you guys have any comments, we, kind of need to.
Well, but listen, I know that they were hired and that they're a big company, but myself, I'm having to. If we can finish the project a year earlier, construction, everything goes up, nothing comes down. You're going to probably save money in the long run. And I would, right now, I'd have to agree with Dr. Hashmi putting the larger contracts, because I'm pretty frugal type guy, and if you finish earlier and save money, that's what I'm for.
Okay. Do you? I would like to ask Don another question. I mean, do you have? And I realize that you can't dictate the market. I totally get that. But in terms of what we're talking about, if you combined multiple of the projects now to get to that next plateau where is that? Is that $16 million? Is that, what do you have any feel for what we're really talking about?
And something came up here that maybe I can comment on that could help in the decision making or support the decision making. My gut says above 20 million, but that's pure speculation there. The other thing that we should think about is for us to rebid B is a matter of months. For us to go and package a large contract we're not there. That's at least 6 months away probably, because there's still decisions being made on packages within the city and everything.
6 months just to bid it?
Yeah, because it's a long story of how the contract's structured, but Contract E, which was sort of like the last set of prioritized projects, we still have to sort through. So Contract E, we haven't really even initiated yet there. But even D, which is within our field of control to get over the 20 million, you're still several months away there. So what I'm hearing is a very healthy debate. I'm not going to trend towards one side here. I feel like I'm negotiating, so I got to watch out here a little bit. But just understand that if you want to take a sounding and a data point, you can take a sounding and a data point on the smaller contracts here within a matter of months. If you wanted to take a sounding and a data point on a larger contract, that's 6 months away.
Which gets us back to the time that you projected we'd finish if we took option 2 in the first place.
Right.
So are you, can I?
Sure.
So are you telling me that contract B is not even ready?
Contract B is that, but just, you know, to advertise and receive bids takes 30 to 60 days.
So what are you talking about 6 months? I didn't get that.
To do the big contract.
If you repackage it
Do
all.
engineering.
If you did a $20+ million contract,
Well, you don't, I mean, you're not committed to doing 20 million, right? You could, can you go back to one of your slides again? Let me just see one more time. Right, that one.
This one?
Yes, please. What are the things that are ready right now?
go back
Your
to
contract B is ready?
Go back to the first slide, probably is the best one
Okay.
there, the progress report. Sorry to direct you, there you go.
Okay.
So C, you know, as we stand right now, A, B, and C could be packaged into one big contract and advertised in the upcoming months here, if you wanted to take a, as I'm calling it, a sounding on the market with a
Yeah, so
bigger
it's
contract.
not 6 months. It's
Right.
not going to, if you combine
And then-
A, B, and C, it's not going to take 6
Right.
months.
And then D would be October, so
Yeah.
I guess I stretched that a little bit there.
Okay.
But that would be the design completion. Bids would not be received from that October contract D. Contract D
No, I'm
would-
not
would
talking
be
about D.
included.
Let's forget D for the time being.
Right.
Let's just discuss A, B, and C.
Okay.
A, B, and C is almost 8 million and 9 million, 17 plus 2, $19 million, right?
A is already done, so it's
Yeah, I
just B, B, and
realize
C.
that, but let's take B and C, 7.8 and 8.9.
Correct.
Where are you at
We'll-
C?
we'll
How
be-
far are you away from finishing the engineering on C?
We'll be done in August.
Okay, so in other words, if we were to bid out, you can bid at least B and C together
In
in August, which is we are in August.
September. I mean, you finish the design, you have to package it, you have some procurement and some legal things that occur.
Okay, so middle of
John,
September.
what is that, a 45 to 60-day cycle?
Yeah, you could probably award a bid in October, actual award.
Award bid, but
You
you
would have
can.
bids received.
Yeah, I realize, but B and C can be bidded out middle of September?
You'd have it on the streets for contractors
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm
respond
saying.
to, and
So
then
you can
would
send it out
receive-
for
You
bid.
would receive numerical bids from them in the October,
Yeah,
November timeframe.
but you can bid them out by, it's not going to take 6 months to bid, combine B and C to bid it
Correct,
out.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted. So
Correct.
you can still have 9 and 8, $17 million contract bidded out by middle of September. You have not accepted the bids, but you've just sent the bids out, is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay,
For
thank
the
you.
folks
But
that really
still-
do the work,
That
yes.
still fits in that category of the 7 million. You said anything over 20 is where that next level is.
You-
So we're 7 and 17 are still in the same.
Again, I can't predict
Category?
the market, but you run the risk of still falling in that middle range there. You could attract some bigger folks there. Again, I guess my point was not to focus so much on the numbers, but just in terms of receiving what the market's saying from one end of the spectrum, really large contract, or the largest contract you could compose there versus the smaller $4 million contracts.
Okay.
Can I ask, do you have the smaller contract, the $4 million contract ready to go right now?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, there's still a little bit of paperwork to separate those out. I mean, it was one package, and we have to separate that out. When will we be ready to do that? Yeah, 2 weeks.
And how long is it, how long a time frame is when you bid it out to when you get it and to award it? How long a time are you talking?
We've typically been putting 30 days on those.
Right.
So the advertisement date could be within 2 to 4 weeks, and then you'd have 30 days thereafter for them to respond. And again, it gets into your processes for authorization to advertise and so on and so forth.
You said, a while ago, you said it'd be ready to go in 2 weeks. You said 2 to 4 weeks.
I would be ready to go in 2 weeks. You have a city process that I suppose do you have to go through any process for authority to advertise?
Yeah,
that requires council action?
Yeah, you'd advertise it, hopefully we could advertise it in August. You'd leave it out for 30 days, so that would be the 3rd or 4th week of September. So you would award a bid at either the first or second meeting of October.
Yeah, thank you. So I wasn't sure on what the city side was, what authorizations you have to get to advertise there.
Man.
And John, just to kind of put you on the spot, we haven't actually heard from you. We've seen the recommendations, but what is your take from your side of things along with engineering staff?
Well, my position is I was hoping you wouldn't ask.
Tough luck.
Because we're all trying to predict the future, and that's the problem. You know, this time last year we were talking about this. My thought was to have 2 contracts, and as time went by, it evolved into 5. And contract A's worked out really well for us, and contract B has not worked out at all so far. Sean and I and some others on staff kind of did our own independent research, talking to contractors, talking to engineers from different places that do different types of things. And a majority of those suggested that the $4 million range was kind of the sweet spot, so to speak. But they're just guessing too. You know, there's a lot to be said for go big and do it all at once. And you know, it's not one of those situations where you can say you're not going to go wrong with either one. You can go wrong with either one. And the good news is, like somebody said, if it doesn't, I think Dr. Hoshmi, if it doesn't work out, then you can rebid it again. You know, you don't like to bid things out over and over, but it doesn't hurt anything. And as far as you know, whether you have a whole lot going on at one time or a little bit going on at one time, you can certainly, there's good and bad to both of those. It's like you know, ripping off a Band-Aid. Well, it really hurts, but you get it over with in a year as opposed to dragging it out for 3 or 4 years. As far as, you know, major arterials, that could be a huge problem. As Dr. Grossnickel said, if you've got 2 or 3 of those closed all at the same time. But, you know, hopefully you have engineers that are smart enough to phase that. To avoid those kinds of things. So I'm kind of rambling, and ultimately my thought would be to go with the recommendation of the engineers and here and the other ones that we've heard from. But you know, there's a lot to be said for going the other way too. Now I wouldn't say this: if you decide to go bigger, I wouldn't just do B and C. I would go all the way. I'd do B, C, and D, all 3 together, and maybe even some of E. If you're going to go big, I would be patient an extra couple of months or 2 or 3 months and do the whole thing, because I think you need to get over 20 million, you know, 20, 25 million at least to get some of the really big contractors. Of course, that was our original plan. If you'll remember way back this time last year, that's why we hired these guys. We hired a big engineer so we could get a big contractor. Times change, and I'm not being critical, times change, and part of that was what we found out was that the market had changed, that all of a sudden all these guys that have had nothing to do in the DFW area for 2 or 3 or 4 years are busy for a change. And they haven't staffed up because they haven't been busy for a long period of time yet, so they're careful about what jobs they take. So the market sure enough has changed in a year's time, but that was the original plan, was to go big and to do all of this. So, you know, some of y'all probably remember we've had this conversation, and that was the original plan. So I'm always kind of hesitant to change the plan when the first plan hasn't failed yet, because we haven't really tried it. But anyway, bottom line, I would go with the experts. Didn't mean to say that disdainfully. Go with the paid experts ultimately, but I think either way you go is a potentially good choice. There's certainly, you could argue both sides forever, and I pretty much have, so I'll shut up.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Benny, you have something?
Well,
Not trying to put you on the spot. I thought you were getting ready.
I'm I want to go, I prefer to go big, but it's not ready, it's gonna put us behind, we're talking about months on down the road. I mean, it seems to me like it's just, right now it's not feasible to me, because you could put out the other contract, and if it don't work, then we could go the other way. So that's,
Yeah, Don or Nick, could we do this B1, as we've called it, kind of internally, and in the meantime, be putting together a big packet for everything else? That way we don't wait around to see what happens, but we're ready to go with a bigger package. Is that possible? Kind of do both at the same time?
The packages have some interchangeability to them,
Right.
and we're ready to do B1, and then, as you say, sort of design what you want that other piece to look like there,
B2, C,
which
and D
it sounds like
all at
we're...
one time, if that way we're, rather than having to have this conversation again next month or in October potentially.
We're kind of doing that anyhow, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're already mentally thinking about what B1 would look like there.
Right.
And all the other pieces, we're just moving forward on. We're not started on E because of the prioritization that's still going on in the
right.
debate there.
The budget.
But D is going on.
What's B1 and B2?
Well, splitting
sorry.
contract B splitting contract B into two pieces.
There's different neighborhoods.
The one thing we've learned is that $8 million is not a good place. We need to go smaller. We need to go a lot bigger.
But is B2 basically south of Lamar and B1 north of Lamar, or is that?
It'll be a little bit of a patchwork because systematically you have to pick pieces of the system that are separate.
Okay.
And
it's not entirely geographic.
So don't.
Okay.
So
Well,
don't.
just, never mind. Then.
Sure.
I'm just curious if that.
Yeah, it's not that clean.
I want to ask you, contract D, have you even started on contract D?
Yeah, we'll be done in October. How far are we through that? We just submitted the conceptual design? We're about to submit our 60% product on that.
So what I'm hearing, if the $4 million doesn't work, you could potentially come back, we could put B, C, and D all together in October.
I think that's a question to John there.
I'm
I
kind
think
of
that's
suggesting maybe that you do both. Go ahead and go with the B1 as we're calling it, but in the meantime, go with the other 20 million as the second thing. Go do a 4 and do a 20. Do a big one and a small one.
How long would E take?
It's going to take a while because we don't even know for sure what projects those are going to be, and that's going to be kind of budget dependent. Some of those we have to see how much money we have left over from A, B, C, D to know if we're even going to do E or not.
Yeah, we have a contractual time once we fire the gun, but we haven't fired the gun yet on E.
I would like to do E because that's my district. If that matters.
Oh, no.
It would be nice.
You're on the record as saying that. Good job.
Oh, boy.
So, from what I'm hearing, is that to do B1 and then look at potentially packaging it up for a bigger package the next run so we can get off High Center? Is that agreeable with the council? Is that, I mean, we need to provide direction so we can actually move forward. I see a couple of heads nodding. I don't know how that sits with everyone. Aaron, is that agreeable to you? I mean, Sue, is that?
Well, I want to see B done right away too, because it's my district.
Sure. Well, and move forward with B1 immediately and then look at the potential of packaging up the
Kind
next
of do
step.
both at the same time. Kind of do both rather than picking one and hope we pick right.
Do we need
Pursue both.
Do we need a motion on that?
Motion would be
Just
great.
direction.
Just
I'll make a motion that we, to be or not to be, that is the question. B1 and then the big package.
Okay. Got a motion by Mr. Pickle. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And second by Benny. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
I abstain.
Okay. Abstains. Okay. Thank you for bearing with us, folks. With that, we move on to item 15.
Discuss and provide direction to staff on Valley of the Caddo Museum building request.
Mr. Godwin?
I don't have anything new. Dr. Bandel, I believe, is going to talk to you again this evening. This item was on your agenda 2 weeks ago, of course, and I think you're pretty familiar with it, and so I'll just turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you.
And he's giving you a handout, too. If you haven't seen
Yes, you have a handout in front of you. Unfortunately, I did not review it after they collated it this afternoon. And if you'll turn right now to the page that shows the existing layout, there was supposed to be another page that showed the proposed layout. And if you look at what's the men's restroom, that's what we would like to convert to the multipurpose room. And then the storeroom immediately behind that, we convert that to the men's room. Now, the walls that are present there, we would not move. And there's historical and all of that encompassing. And I'll be brief, and then we can expand if you like. The storerooms present now were the original colored restrooms. And if you look at the first picture page that unfortunately is upside down, you'll see at the bottom we have a picture of the frosted glass, which is typical for restrooms that were in the original building. So, and then you can see pictures of the storeroom. And the floor in the storerooms is tile floor, so it is not historical. The fixtures that are present in the men's restroom and as well as the women's, we're not going to disturb the women's restroom, but the fixtures present in the men's restroom are modern fixtures that were done during the renovation shortly before the chamber took over the building. And if you see in the last two pages the photograph of the tile floor that's present, that would be preserved for the multi-purpose room. The stalls and the fixtures would simply be moved to the what is now the storeroom and the old colored restroom, so that would now become a restroom again. The picture of Don McCaskill and myself there in the doorway is the entrance to the proposed multipurpose room from the museum area itself. The very last page shows this turnaround. You're looking from the inside the present male restroom to the door that is proposed male restroom, and if you look at the frosted glass there present in that through that doorway, that would be the doorway to the male restroom. A couple of you I know have visited the museum site along with Mr. Godwin, and I think maybe have a better understanding. We would invite anybody else who would like to come down and see it personally, give you a personal tour of what's going on. So in effect, converting the present male restroom to a meeting room, moving the male restroom to the rear, what was originally a restroom years ago, and then keeping the storeroom behind the women's restroom for a storeroom for use with the museum. I'll be happy to go into any other further detail right now as you like.
Okay. Anyone on the council have questions for Dr. Bandel?
Can I start?
You bet.
Sorry. My first question, are you telling me that, first of all, you're not moving the ladies' room, you're moving the men's room?
Correct.
And are you telling me that you're really not moving the men's room, the original men's room, which was the supposedly historical men's room, is going back to where it's supposed to be? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's our understanding, is that the renovation that took place before the chamber occupied the building, what was that, 2004? 2003, the chamber moved in with the grand opening in 2003. There was a major renovation between 97, when Kiamichi turned the building over to the city, and then it became a national registry in August of 98. Texas Department of Transportation gave us $1 million grant in 97, and that's when the remodeling took place.
And the restroom, the pictures that are seen on the last page, you're saying that this is not the historical restroom, correct? This is built after the fact.
Correct. Those fixtures in there were done during the renovation.
Okay. And the original restroom is behind the door, past the air conditioning unit?
Correct.
My next question to you is, how many, are there a bunch of water closets there, or how much is to be removed from there if it
Well, I
was
think there are 3 stalls, maybe 2 stalls, and 2 or 3 urinals, and then the sinks.
And in the old restroom, are those things, I mean, is there plumbing there, or how do you, if you were to be
Well,
given
right
the
now, there is a sink, like a slop sink, that's present there. And then, you know, the basement is present underneath that's not utilized. And we have a bid of under $7,000 to do the conversion.
And that floor, you are not going to break, I mean, you're going to have to break the floor. Is that a historical floor? I mean,
Well, we think it's historical.
no, in the old restroom.
On the old restroom, no, it's like regular
So you're not
vinyl
breaking
tile.
anything historical in that room?
And no, it's vinyl tile.
Okay.
It doesn't show up very well in the picture.
And what happens to the air conditioning unit?
I think is that just stored there?
It's just stored there.
Why it can't be that historic because
stored
it doesn't
there.
involve that old.
I'm not sure that's.
But I'm just
I'm not
wondering,
sure
are you
that's
going to remove
connected.
this, or is that going to stay there, or what's going to happen?
I'm
to
not
it?
sure. I think that's just stored there at the present time. Do you know, Mr. Godwin?
I do not know.
Is that a
I
working
don't-
unit?
I don't think that's.
I don't think so.
I don't think
Okay, so
that's a
you're going to
functional
leave
unit.
that air conditioning unit there? If you
I
were
don't
to-
think that's a functional unit.
No, it's just sitting there.
Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Sure, Ms. Lancaster.
When you move the restroom to the storeroom, what is going to be done about air conditioning and heating in there?
Well, right now, for instance, the museum is air conditioned when you leave the present male restroom open.
Well, you can't leave the door open
Well,
to a restroom.
that's what would
But,
have to be at the
when I
present time.
When I visited there was a distinct difference in the temperature
Mhm.
between the now men's restroom and that storeroom, and I would think we would, being on the north side, we certainly would want to have some heat. And as we said last time, I like air conditioning too.
Right, right. Well, we
So
like air
we'd have
conditioning
to
too, but
address-
what I'm saying now, the major room, if you look on the diagram, page that says museum,
Mhm.
to get cool in there, you have to leave the present men's restroom open. So we've not addressed that issue
Okay,
financially
so
at the
there is
present time.
there's no air conditioning in that men's restroom right now?
That's where the air conditioning is, in the present men's restroom.
Right, but I was just concerned about when you move it, what you intend to do for air conditioning and heat in what would become the men's
Yeah,
restroom.
We haven't addressed that yet.
Okay.
Don?
There is a vent in the ceiling now.
Okay.
In the new one or the old one?
In the storeroom. Okay, there's a vent in the ceiling
Why
there.
is it not functioning?
The air conditioning unit is definitely not installed. It's
No, I'm not talking about that. That's just stored there. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking,
He needs to come to this.
can you come up?
They want you in
Sir?
front of the microphone
Don.
here.
Ms. McCaskill,
Sorry.
we're getting signals from the office back here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's, the proposed men's bathroom does have an air conditioning vent in it. That unit, I thought the same thing when the first time I walked in to the men's room. I thought that unit, which is an outside unit.
No, that's just stored there.
It's
I
just
knew that
stored
was not
there, and it could be
connected.
used someplace else. So that has no function right now.
No, I'm not asking about that.
Okay.
I'm asking about what air conditioning and heating we have in that storeroom now.
Okay, there is a vent
Mhm. Am I-
and I don't know where the return is, but there is an input
Right.
vent.
But why is it not working?
It is.
No, it's not
I'm not sure what the question is. I think in order to get proper circulation, they now leave the men's bathroom door open all the time.
Yeah.
And that would be resolved if we made that a multi-purpose room. You wouldn't have to worry about whether the door was open or closed.
Mr. McCaskill, I don't think that's what she wants you to know.
I'm
She's-
sorry.
That's not what I'm
What she's
asking.
asking you is, in your proposed men's restroom, if there is a vent that you're saying that there is a vent, is that a functional vent or a non-functional vent? Is that room air conditioned?
I would have
or
to
not?
say it's functioning, yes.
You think it is functioning?
I do.
I haven't seen that it's functioning. I went in there and it was quite unpleasant.
Okay. I can check that out and verify and
Okay,
get back to you soon.
I would appreciate
Okay,
that.
I'll do that.
Dr.
Thank
Grosvenor, you had a question?
Yes, are there other bathrooms in the depot? Or is this the only two bathrooms that
Other
will
bathrooms,
exist?
I can't tell you exactly where they are, but there's some down on the far end. And like for the PEDC, to utilize those would have to go outside under the canopy to utilize those. So I think they're down near that meeting room.
And they're
in
between the
other
community room and the genealogy section.
Yep.
There's bathrooms there. little
There's
hallway.
bathrooms there.
So for this museum, though, they would have access to these two bathrooms only, is that correct? I mean, direct access.
Who would?
If we make the change as you propose on the bathrooms, to get to that, they're going to have to walk through your multipurpose room to use the bathroom. And that would be
Any male would have to
visitors
walk
as
through the
well as
multipurpose
staff.
room. Right.
And are the things in the multi-purpose room that you might not want seen or have exposed to the public, something of value that might be tampered with or stolen?
No, we're more concerned about the security in the museum itself and perhaps the storeroom. So we'd like for that whole north end of the building to be secure and watched, because there'll be artifacts in there. So,
Wait, are you, like, when the PEDC's open, though, that will be, it won't be secured from the standpoint of people that are either meeting with the PEDC or the PEDC or that staff. They will still be able to go in and out of their bathrooms, won't they?
yes.
Is that
Yes.
bathroom being used by PEDC?
Sure. Yeah.
The men's bathroom and the...
Well, the men use the men's and the women use the women's.
Thank you for letting me know, Edwin.
But yeah, no, anytime you're in that building.
Okay, so
Those-
those are the only bathrooms that are available?
Well, they can walk outside and walk
in that-
down to
in that
to the other end.
to the
Okay.
other end.
Okay.
But yeah, but that's not,
They'd be allowed in there.
so if there's security, I guess my question is, if you've got security, is somebody going to be there from the
There's not going to be a guard there, no. We'll have cameras, and when the doors are locked, there's motion detectors.
Okay, if there's a meeting, say that the PEDC, just the 5 of them meet in that room.
They'll be able to go to the restroom. They have access that way.
Okay, so the security system won't be a problem.
No.
Okay.
Your security system is internal only? Or will you have
As far as I
some
know,
outside?
we're looking at is putting some cameras outside, but we have not discussed that with the security people yet. So there'll be cameras and motion detectors for internal and the perimeter.
Well, I would strongly encourage you to put some outside. You have no idea the traffic that happens around there at night.
We're looking into that. Thank you very much.
I don't live very far from there, and I'm quite aware of it.
Yeah.
It could
Thank
be a
you.
real problem. Put a little temptation there, break that window and grab something and take off.
We appreciate it. Yeah, we're looking into that.
Who's responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of that? They are, okay, I know the PEDC just approved, I think $5,000 to work on their roof.
Right.
Is that on the Caddo Museum side of it, or is that on the PEDC side?
The major part of the leak was where they are. Some of it was in the community room and some of it was over their offices over on the west side of the building.
Okay. But if there are leaks to the west, that would be the museum's part.
That would be our
Partially.
plan.
Yeah.
To the extent possible, yes.
But I mean, the building belongs to us, so if you have a rental property that you've given it out, who repairs the roof? The tenant?
Well, I thought are we charging them rent?
Well, we don't charge rent from PEDC, do we?
No, we don't charge any
No,
rent.
but that's a city entity in a sense, one way or the other.
Okay, so, John, at this point, the direction that you're looking to go, what is the next step? I don't want to cut anybody, if anybody has
Yeah,
any
we
questions,
just need council
continue to
to let
ask.
these folks know if you're okay with what they're asking to do or not. And, you know, they're hoping to open in October. I think that's still the plan.
October 3rd.
And so they need to get, you know, feedback pretty soon. And if they're not going to be able to do these things, then they need to, you know, regroup and go a different route.
Is there to be a lease agreement or a memorandum of understanding to be between the two parties, or already done?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Who's responsible for what, so.
Okay. Sue?
I'd really like to have an answer to the question on the air conditioning, the heating in the storeroom, and I don't know how to do that expeditiously.
Just to clarify, you want to answer on whether or not the men's restroom
Whether or
is
not
to be
the
vented?
proposed does
Sort of.
have air conditioning and heating in it.
Currently, or they will
Well,
place it
currently,
there?
or if it isn't.
They will rewrite it.
Will they, and how big a deal is that to the building?
It's a definite problem right now. I know when our police officers were over there, like you said, they had to prop the door open to be able to
Right,
stand
right.
being in the bathroom.
Right,
Not that they were in there a lot.
I mean, with the understanding that Dr.
Yeah, I
Bandel, is
think
that something that's
needs
agreeable
to be
to you guys?
addressed for
Okay.
everybody.
I mean, reasonably.
fine.
I mean, as far as my main concerns, it was revolving around the historical structure itself and making sure that that's preserved in the proper way. But,
Correct.
you know, as long as those channels are being followed, that really was kind of my biggest thing, which everyone's already discussed. Anybody else have any more questions, or are we prepared to provide direction?
Well,
or
just
the other?
clarify his point with the tenant and the repairs or whatnot. The PDC is paying for their roof, so even though they're not paying the rent, they are paying for the repairs.
And
That
that's
was
what
my
I'm
question.
saying. That's exactly what my point was.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. You both agree. That's
We
great.
agree.
That's rare.
Well, take it when you can get it. That's good. All right, so is the council prepared to move forward with this, or any other questions? So I guess the best way to take a motion,
Yes, sir.
just so we can all be accounted for, if you. Yeah,
Jim-
I'm sorry.
Jim Don wants to-
Oh, Jimmy Don, I'm sorry. I was too busy looking down the road.
Okay. The vent in the storeroom, okay. We'll make sure there's air conditioning running to that vent.
Well,
And
my
so
my
what we'd
point on
like-
that is just that it doesn't do too much damage to the building. You know, I don't know
Right.
what it entails to bring that.
Well, we'll make sure that, you know, no damage, you know, that's going to hurt
Well,
the
you were very
structure.
heavily involved. I thought perhaps you might know too.
Well, it's a good question. I wish that we had brought it up beforehand. But I was under the impression that that vent did work. Okay, so if it doesn't work, you know, I think it's going to be a small thing to hook the vent work up to it. So, you know, tonight, we really need a good go so that we can go ahead and get the contractors in there and start moving those fixtures. That's what we need, and at the same time, we'll make sure that we have a good vent. And who would like to, would somebody from the council would like to oversee that, making sure that that vent's put in there correctly without any damage?
I'm not an air conditioning expert, for sure.
Well, someone else.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Are you planning to reuse those fixtures that
Yes.
you're moving?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I have a question. You know, I mean, a duct isn't the only way air conditioning works. You gotta have return air.
Yeah,
And the
that's
return
true.
air has got to have access to all the
I think that's the
air that's
problem.
being removed. So, you know, you've gotta have flow, and that may entail leaving doors open. I mean, that may be why you have to do that. So, I'm just pointing that out. If we have an isolated vent and a closed door, it may not work very well, but
Vent the door.
True.
vent.
You have to have an exhaust fan too with the bathroom, so that's just something else that we just monitor that as we go and make sure it's all done correctly.
Well, either way, we'll just make this work. And somebody would like to look in on it with us? Just join us as we move through.
I don't mind looking in.
Okay, so you just join us as
Tell me
we
when to
do
show
the
up.
contract
I don't
work,
mind looking
and
in.
And we just need that go so we can move forward, really do. And the multipurpose meeting room that we're talking about, I'd just like to point out that we have a group of people out here that have some great plans for that room that is going to involve the children of this county and 3 other counties. And we really need that room. The idea behind this museum is not just to have something for people to come in and look at. It's going to be an interactive museum, just as we have the Stargazers Club, the yoga, and many other things. And we're going to be bringing lots of workshops and things into that museum and working out of. And as we set our goal to be the best that we can be in that location, we hope that someday in the future, maybe not in my generation, but we'll be endowed in some way to build a larger museum there in Heritage Park that would be a museum district. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions, or are we prepared to provide direction?
I have no other questions.
No other questions, okay. So what's the will of the council? Do we want to move forward on this item and allow them to conduct the repairs and renovations as they see fit, or?
I'll take the heat on this one. And I'll make the motion that as long as there is nothing historical that they mess up, and one of the council members supervises that as long as they're not going to mess up anything that is of historical importance, that we let them do what they want to do.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Plotnick. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We thank you.
Thank
Remember,
Dr.
October 3rd, put that on your calendar for reception and welcoming you to the new museum.
Okay, Janice, item 16.
Receive presentation, discuss, and act on the city budget for road repairs.
And this item was put on the agenda by Dr. Hashmi, so he's assuming the controls at this point. So once he gets settled back in, we'll let him go from there.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, I want to say one thing, and that is that we really have not concentrated a whole. We have been involved in all sorts of activities other than improvement of the city. And so I thought that it was time that we kind of reverted back to some of the tasks that we have been allotted to do as council members, and that is to look after the city. We'll continue with all other things. I'm not trying to put them aside, but I thought that we were talking about budgets, we were talking about improvements, we need to talk about the roads. And so I have taken the liberty of discussing the roads, the city roads today. And the topic is taking the next step. So we'll go to the next slide on this. In May of last year, City of Paris residents voted overwhelmingly for the sale of 45 million in bonds to replace the water and sewer lines that have deteriorated. Specifically, the bond election that was voted on in May of last year asked citizens to vote yes or no on the issuance of a $45 million tax bond for replacing and extending water and sewer lines and making repairs to the streets and drainage infrastructure necessitated by such construction. The council approved a list of 89 water and sewer line projects to be considered, and the City of Paris has earmarked 15 projects that have been categorized as Tier 1 projects from those lists, and the work on this has begun. What I want to talk to you about tonight are our streets. In addition to its study, the city's water and sewer lines, KSA Engineering drove down every street in Paris and determined that within the city limits, there are 172.4 miles of roadways the city is responsible for maintaining. 156.1 miles is asphalt, 11 miles is concrete, and 5.3 miles is of various other types. If anyone wants to see the details, this is a whole big binder and it has every detail on the roads. Of these 51.7, which is 30% of the roads are in excellent condition, 99.2, which is 57.6, are in fair condition, and 21.4 miles, which is 12.4%, are in poor conditions. Streets that are classified excellent or good, such as the occasional concrete streets, are pretty much the streets that will not require any real maintenance over the next 10 years. Many of our worst streets are dead-end streets that are only a block or two long. In a perfect world, it would be great to rebuild them. But is it worth the public's money to do that rather than move the money to a street that might be in better condition, that gets thousands of cars down it every day and is in front of a school? The highest priority are the 90% of the city streets that are asphalt and carry most of the city traffic. KSA rated each street by how much traffic it carries and by its condition. Each street has a score of 3 to 20. The higher the score, the more likely that the street needs extensive repairs over the next 10 years. I direct your attention to the next slide, which shows 22 streets with the highest scores between 15 to 20, all given a priority 1 rating. These are streets that KSA says will likely require some pretty serious maintenance over the next 10 years. Probably half of them are going to need reconstruction. Of less importance are the 86 other streets that are ranked priority 2 with a score of 8 to 12, and 602 streets that are marked as priority 3 with a score of 3 to 6. By quadrants, here are the 22 streets in Paris with a priority 1 rating. These are divided into 4 sections of the town: northwest, northeast, southwest, and southeast. Again, none of these projects are covered by the bond election that the citizens of Paris approved last year. And this is not an inexpensive project. KSA has estimated that just these 22 Tier 1 street projects will cost almost $12.2 million to complete. But it has to be done, and the sooner we start, the better it is. The following are the monies for street and alley repairs over the last 5 fiscal years. 2009 and 10, $425,000. And as you can see, the numbers are written there: 425, 465, 460, 460. And 2014 and 15 proposed budget is $460,000. I'm going to make a motion tonight that besides the $460,000 that are to be spent in all seven districts of the city, that $180,000 be allocated from our general fund, that is $60,000 for each of District 1, 2, and 3, in addition to their share of $460,000 with immediate effect. This would be in this fiscal year. The remainder would fall over the next fiscal year. Now, I checked with Jean. Our current reserves are $9,597,032, which is above what we are required to maintain by the standards that we have set ourselves in the previous council meetings. I think the streets are in bad shape. I think the work has to be started, and I think District 1, 2, and 3 are in dire need of more expense. If the motion that I make it passes today, what I would suggest is each of the council members, I'm going to give them 7, all of us will have 7 cameras. We need to go in our district, drive our districts, and take pictures of the worst streets that we think. Now, KSA has given us a good outline, but I think as residents of the community, we still need to go in our districts and see what we feel is more important than anything else. And I'm not trying to discount what they say, but I think there are places where we might feel different than what they have said. They've also listed the different kinds of corrections that are to be adopted, and I'm going to leave those things to be discussed by the city engineers and the city manager to decide what is best for what we need to do within the margins of the money that we have. So with that, I'm going to make a motion that we allocate out of our budget an additional $180,000 to be equally distributed amongst District 1, 2, and 3 for road repair.
Can we go
Okay.
back? Can we discuss it?
I have a motion, so if you don't, if
Yeah.
I don't have a second, there won't
We have,
be
we have,
anything.
we have a motion on the floor, so we have to deal with that first. So, second from Ms. Lancaster? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Can you go back to the slide that I had all the different places? What, you went too far. Are any of these places involved in the construction of the
We have,
water?
yeah, we have tried to take those, I tried to take those out. Now, there may be, I'm not an expert at this.
Okay.
So there may be some overlap here, but the thing is, what we have tried, based on what Sean has provided me, is to take those streets out where there is going to be water and sewer line repair work done anyway,
Okay.
which might require road work along with it.
Okay.
So those are not in it. Hopefully, I've not messed up on this. More than likely not.
And these are, for what it's worth, these are the same 22 streets that we talked about very briefly when I talked about the CIP in July. You know, we had the 4-page list of all the different projects, and streets were just one of the
And
subcomponents.
if one wants details, it's a whole booklet that you can read to your heart's desire. It will put you to sleep.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to,
Go
one
ahead,
more
Ed.
question.
Sure.
Out of, on the northwest, which ones are, and you've got it by quadrant, but the northwest, I have trouble figuring out.
Northwest is divided, there's a map in here which
Okay.
divides the city
Okay.
into the 4 quadrants.
Okay.
Guys, South Collegiate, on southeast right here, you got South Collegiate Drive from southeast Loop 286 to city limits.
Yes, and Mr. Plata, I'm going to point that out to you. That is one of the streets that we have had long discussions on the previous bond. I don't know whether you remember or not, but Edwin knows that.
Yeah.
And that has been placed there, but the thing about it is, that is questionable. So some of these things we may have to readjust, and that's why I've said that this is the basic list that they have provided, but eventually it depends on us after we've gone around and seen what we think is best.
One thing I was gonna ask, the thing I was saying, South Collegiate Drive right there, is that over by the high school, over there by the
Yeah.
PGC?
Yes.
Wasn't there some money, you said,
Well,
y'all
that's what
mentioned
I'm talking about.
money left over?
There's money there, but it doesn't include widening the bridge. So it would go here, then back narrow, and then wide again.
That's why that has been a source of problem.
But I'd love to see it done anyway. Throw that in there.
I have a question, Mayor Hashmi. I mean,
You've got to quit doing that.
Yes, I do. You're saying that we would take our whole yearly budget and add to it $180,000. Well, what's going to happen to all the other streets if we just spend all the money on 22 projects? We have a lot of, street repairs that occur as pipes break and we have to
That's not what
repair.
I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is to just allocate an additional $180,000, 60,000 each for districts 1, 2, and 3, wherever the excessive street repairs are required. My thought would be that out of the 460 that we have, that we divide it evenly amongst all 7 districts. But since District 1, 2, and 3 have more broken down streets than other areas, then out of those, District 1, 2, and 3 get an additional $60,000 for work to be done in those districts.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies it.
Now,
And not disputing necessarily which street to pick. I think we have to go by what KSA has said, but then we need to do our homework ourselves to see what we think is best. Yes, Mr.
I'd like to refer back to John. How does this fit into your plan moving forward with?
2 things, and I'm certainly fine with doing this if the council chooses to do so. One is just to make sure we're clear between maintenance, which is what the 460 that's in the budget is for, heavy-duty maintenance, not just potholes, but heavy-duty maintenance, versus these bigger numbers that KSA came up with, was reconstructing the whole road. So they overlap, but slightly different things. And it may be that the road that's on KSA, kind of like Dr. Hoshby saying, is the roads that are on the list that need to be completely rebuilt may not be the ones that have maintenance right away. Sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. The other thing I want to clarify is that you're talking about this current fiscal year, but a good bit of that money's already been spent. Just, and I know you know that, but just to clarify that. So what we're really talking about for the most part is setting aside another $180,000 because it's better to spend it on the roads than have it sitting in a bank, and I agree with that, so.
Correct, and it will give some additional edge to District 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, yeah.
Could I ask a question to somebody in the audience?
No. Up to the mayor.
Could I?
Sure.
Is that Rufus Hill? Could I ask a question of him?
And for those of you that have not met, Rufus Hill is our street superintendent. He's been here for a couple hundred years and knows everything about streets. And just publicly, he's one of the best employees we have. He's done a great job for the city for a long time, so.
Thank you, John.
Rufus?
Yes, sir.
I know you quite well. That's why I trust you. I trust you. That's why I'm going to ask you this. You know, I spoke a lot about the chip seal.
Yes, sir.
The chip seal programs y'all have. The only reason I'm asking. Okay. The only reason I'm asking you about this chip seal stuff, because a while back, it was years ago. I don't remember exactly what year. You guys come and y'all chip sealed Washington Street.
Okay.
Washington Street that runs by George Wright Homes all the way up
From
to
19th to 7th, yes.
And that held up quite. It's beautiful, quite held up, but it's breaking down. It's breaking down. But my question to you is, a chip seal. How is it to you? I mean, I saw on what John said it was the cheapest to do. So, is that pretty good? Does that cover a road in your estimation? Does that cover a road and hold up good?
Probably 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. And your next, and in your estimation, after chip seal, what would be your next thing that you would say would be the best for a street?
Hot mix.
Overlay?
Yes.
Overlay.
But to me, chip seal did a real good job. I tell you that.
Well, it's a cheaper fix.
It was cheap, and once it got settled down, it was all right with me. It was good to me. Well, it's for cars.
But there's certain parts of town people don't like chip seal either.
And like he just said, it's hard on him on his bicycle, but
yeah.
that's not what we're here for.
Right.
But okay. So if we do this stuff, are you free? Is it all right if I were to go to Mr. Hill in person and stuff and ask him his opinion on streets that I find out and ask him his opinion what would be the best thing for me to do over there?
Sure.
No problem.
Don't tell him what to do, but absolutely, by all means, talk to him all you want.
Yeah. Be more than happy to. All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you for your service and thank you for the help with the.
Dr. Hoffman, let me just clarify this, just so I can get it right in my head. We're talking about $60,000 for those 3 districts, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I guess
actually 60 would 180 total.
Okay. And I think
don't ask Gene, he doesn't like to spend
money.
No,
I understand. Gene's over there.
But I checked with him.
He's gritting his teeth as we speak.
Our reserves are above what we are required to keep.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess my point was going to be it would be hard to argue against trying to improve the streets in any portion of the city. So that's not at all the question.
With our reserves are up, and we're through with the ice storm stuff, right? I mean, yeah. Kevin, thank you.
Our contracts are all done. Yes.
Okay.
So my question would be, in reality, with these streets, give me a perspective on $60,000. What can be done? I mean,
well, it's not a huge amount, but if it's your street, if it's your neighborhood, then
100%.
Then, it's great. And so maybe that's one street in each district, maybe depending on what we do. But I'm for it. I think it's a good idea. So
okay. I don't have any other questions. Any other questions or
Do we
discussion?
take, does this start with the next incoming budget?
Well, we're talking about doing it as soon as we can, I think.
This year.
We're starting it this year and then go for, okay.
Now, I know where District 3 and District 2 are. District 1 is whose?
Mr.
Aaron.
Jenkins.
Well, the only folly I see in that, the drawback, is Church Street here is not in any one of those districts. And that, to me, that and Pine Bluff are the two worst streets in Paris, Texas.
But Mr.
Yeah.
Plata,
Well, Graham,
Pine Bluff
too.
is going to be taken care of as
Yeah.
part of the water and sewer,
But
or
I mean,
portions of it.
Patchwork.
but I mean,
Yeah.
we could take the whole 180 just for Church Street. I mean, I'm just saying. Just going to throw that out there. If Edwin's going to talk about his, I'm going to get mine in too. Any other discussion amongst the council? We have a motion and a second on the floor. If there's, Dr. Grosnick?
I wouldn't mind having a little more time to think about it. I think it's a good idea. I just also know that we're about to hopefully get started on our budgeting. And, you know, if we borrow too much from reserves, and we've got a lot of things that are gonna need to be assigned priorities when we get to the budget, because we've got a whole list of things that aren't funded, which are very important. Not that the streets aren't, but there's also other ones that are equally important. And so we're gonna either have a really bloated budget perhaps, or we're gonna have to make some painful cuts. And so before we take $180,000 without knowing whether if we could wait like a month or two into the budget process, we could rank it and start on it then. That's my thought.
Okay.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
Sure.
Mr. Godwin has already done the budget, and there are no raise, the taxes are not coming down, but the taxes are not going up. And he has allocated most of the funds for that budget anyway. So you can do that if that's what you want to do, but I
Right,
don't
he
think it's
has,
going
but
to.
he hasn't, you know, included pay raises.
Your choice.
And, no, I'm just saying other things, the bathrooms at the fairgrounds, and there's a lot of things that have been mentioned and talked about that haven't been allocated into that budget. And we're gonna have to decide whether we are going to add some of those things, which will make the budget no longer balanced. So that's the only thing I have. It's a small, relatively small sum of money. It is kind of scary that it'll just fix one street per district.
Okay. Ben?
I'm sorry. I know.
No, you're good.
I need to, Rufus, I hate to keep picking on, can I ask you one more thing? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Some gentleman met with me with the Trails of Paris. And the Trails of Paris, the part that gets used the most is in the worst shape. I can say that because I've been there. You know, and they gave me a paper and stuff that I don't know who I'm not going to say any name that they say how much it would cost to fix it. But in your estimation, does it have to have a hot base to fix that?
It need to be, if you're talking about the collegiate end,
Yes, from collegiate on.
it need to be rebuilt.
I think we need to, let's just be real careful that we're talking about the motion on the floor with the budget with the reserves on the streets, and it's a tremendously valid question. I just want to make sure that we're.
Well, it's me. That's a so-called street, and I was just.
Well, we'll talk about it for sure on the next item, so I'll make sure you,
Yeah, and
so
I
don't
don't
go away.
I don't want to be disingenuous, but I just kind of want to make sure we're all in. So, motion and second on the floor.
And with the next item doesn't include, that's in addition to all this 180, is that right? Sort of?
I'm
The
sorry.
next thing on the agenda
Right.
is not built into our budget at all, so.
Correct. The budget the draft budget you got last month doesn't include, at this point, taking anything out of reserves. It's strictly a pay-as-you-go sort of thing. So this would be in addition to that, whether it was this current fiscal year or next fiscal year. And it could be because of timing that if you approve it tonight, it'll go into both fiscal years anyway. Kind of like 2 years ago when the council set aside an extra $400,000 for housing demolition. Well, it just carried over until it was used up. So it was kind of independent of the budget.
That,
So it doesn't affect your budget decisions unless you decide there's some other things you'd rather spend reserves on. But what I've given you so far doesn't anticipate spending reserves. But there's some things we need to talk about tonight too, so.
Right.
okay. No other discussion. We have a motion and a second on the floor. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Edwin, we need to record for Janice,
Yeah,
so.
I'm going to go no, and not because I'm opposed to it. It's just I wish this were after the next agenda item.
I understand.
Yeah, I abstain, and I would echo what Edwin just said.
Got that, Janice? Thank you all. That was a really good
Yes.
conversation. And Dr. Hashmi, thank you for the presentation. So with that, we'll move to that proverbial next item. Janice?
Receive presentation, discuss, and provide direction to staff on fiscal year 2014-2015 budget for the city of Paris.
And I don't know how much time you want to spend tonight. If you want to spend 15 minutes, you want to spend an hour and a half. It's already 7:15. Of course, you have an executive session to go to. But rather than giving you a long presentation of all of these items, I think you kind of know what they're all about anyway. Some of them we've already talked about. I just want to start at the top of the list and go as far as you want to go tonight to discuss them and make some decisions, kind of one at a time. And I'm hoping the first 2 or 3 or 4 are the easiest ones, and so we can check them off the list, yes or no. The first one is the fire engine replacements. Talked about that, I guess, 2 meetings ago when I was here and gave you the draft budget. And it doesn't affect this specific budget year. As we talked about, if you'll recall, there's a program where we would not have to make our first payment until October 1st of 2015, yes. But we would order the engine this coming fiscal year. We would actually get it and use it for a few months before the beginning of the following fiscal year. So it doesn't affect this budget, but we need to talk about it this year because if we do go ahead and buy it this budget, then you've committed to that expense in future years. So I'll just stop right there and see if you have any opinions one way or another about that strongly, and if you have any direction for me on that. But we really do need 2 engines. We talked about that too. We talked about the CIP stuff. We've gotten way behind over the years, and we've got to get out of that and get back into a normal replacement schedule. We've got a good replacement schedule with ambulances and with police vehicles, but we do not yet with fire engines and with garbage trucks. And that's the other thing I'm going to talk about here in a minute is garbage trucks too. So, of course, Dr. Hashmi kind of led the way a couple of years ago with getting 1 engine, but unfortunately that wasn't enough. It came too late, so we need more.
Sue?
Well, I'm hearing that we desperately need the schedule, of course, and we desperately need some fire equipment. I'm understanding from what I'm hearing that there are 2 engines that you can't depend on will start at any one time, and that's a little scary thought. People will lose their lives if we don't have the fire engine. If we don't have the garbage picked up, it's not quite as bad. So I'm definitely going to sway toward fire engine replacement.
Okay.
Why would fire engines need to be taken out for suppers and lunches and everything if they're in desperate shape? That's my question.
Right. And that's something I guess I can let the chief address that, but the travel time for going to meals or for shopping for meals, of course, firefighters are there 24 hours in a row, so they're going to eat their meals at work. It's a very common practice. I've never worked anywhere that was not in fact the practice was to allow people to go to meals while they're on duty, and they have to stay within their jurisdiction, their district, so that they're always ready to respond to a call. The amount of mileage, the amount of hours on those engines is typically very, very minimal over the lifetime. You're talking about engines that last 20 years. The problem we have is more of a gross number, and that is that you want to have an engine be a frontline engine for about 10 years and a reserve for about 10. We've got engines that are 17, 18 years old that are still frontline engines. And so certainly the trip to the grocery store, the trip to lunch adds miles and adds hours on the engines. Obviously it does, but those are minimal enough that it's not affecting these big overall life cycles. Chief, you concur with that? If not, don't tell me I'm wrong.
I don't think you have that problem.
He's exactly correct. The minimum, it's a very minimal amount of hours and mileage on the fire trucks. Firefighters are like a gaggle of geese. Wherever one goes, they all have to go. So when they go to get their groceries or whatever, they all have to be together. And they've got to have their fire equipment with them. So if they get a call, they can leave their grocery basket in the center aisle of the grocery store and respond to the fire call. And I agree with Mr. Godwin that it's a common practice to do that, and it's just kind of one of their appendages when they're on duty.
Any other discussion on, thoughts on?
Mr. Plata, we have had this discussion multiple times in the past too, and there were various options suggested. One of them was to increase the number of firefighters so that some can stay back, but it ended up that which is more costly, whether to take the truck out or whether to employ more people. And I think after long, tedious discussions, we all came to the conclusion that let them do what they think is the best thing to do. Though I think your argument is very well taken, and I think to take a $500,000 truck to a lunch is, I shouldn't say it, but.
Well, there's another side to this. You know, anytime we're out, and I encourage the firefighters to be out in public. I encourage them to interact with the citizens. You don't know how many times that the firefighters will be at the grocery store. There'll be a parent with their children there, and we get a chance to interact with the children. We hand out fire prevention materials. So it's a two-edged sword. I mean.
Yeah. And besides the fact, I don't think we should get into the same situation as we did in 2010, where the newest truck was bought in 1990, and so yes, it's expensive, but it's an expense that you have to bear. I don't think there's much of a choice. That's my opinion.
I thought, wait a minute. If my mind served me correctly, when I was on the council last time, they had just bought a new fire engine, and that's why they had to build a new fire station down South Main, because they bought a new fire engine. That was in like year 1999, 2000, because it wouldn't fit in the one at Lamar Avenue.
The oldest fire truck we've got is a 1996. The youngest that we've got is a 1997.
So you hadn't bought any
No,
fire trucks
not
since
not since
1997?
one was purchased the year before I started 2 years ago.
What year is it?
It's at fire station number 1.
No, what year is it?
Oh, that was
2010 is 2011.
Oh, okay.
2011.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
when
it's,
we were
okay.
on the 2000.
No, but I thought
Yeah,
you said
2011.
But correct me if I'm wrong, we have 2 new trucks, not one.
We have a rescue truck that's brand new, and we have a new 2-year-old fire truck, and then the rest of them are back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So we have rescue and another one, and then you got another as a donation, which was a.
Oh, it's a brush truck.
Yeah, it's a brush truck.
But it was furnished by Texas Forest Service.
Yeah. But the earlier ones which were bought were, I thought it was 1993, but you're saying 96, so it doesn't matter. It was still
96,
ancient.
yeah. The fleet, I was really amazed when I came here 2 years ago of how old the equipment was, and it's proven itself out. I mean, we had to put a transmission in one of them last year that broke down on the side of the road for going to a call. It's back over in Dallas right now, and with the possibility of another transmission, or at least a transmission repair with some warranty. We can't depend on the pumps. The pump seals are wearing out. It's just a lot of major mechanical issues with those fire trucks.
Which one is that? What year model truck is that?
97.
Okay. Any other questions of the chief or city manager about this particular issue, or? Okay.
Thanks,
Chief. Appreciate that.
The second item we've talked about off and on for the last 2 years since I've been here, and that's land for a replacement, so to speak, EMS station, and that's for the station that's currently housed at PRMC. We never know how long we're going to be there, plus that location is is not ideal for us or for the hospital for that matter. Plus, we're wanting to move farther to the west, and we've looked at some other locations, even at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds, for example. Some facilities that could work, but they're not as good as they need to be. They're not maybe ADA accessible. They're not in the right location. So what we've suggested doing is setting aside some funds for just to buy land. And then we'll worry about building the actual station later. Luckily, EMS stations are smaller and much less expensive than fire stations, but we need to go ahead and make that step. We've looked at a couple of sites since I've been here again over the last 2 years. Haven't really made progress beyond that, but again, farther west than we are currently located at the hospital. And money's actually available, and it's included in the budget that I gave you out of some capital funds that are available. We've got about $170,000 in capital funds that are unappropriated, and so I'm suggesting we pay for it out of that.
Can I?
Sorry.
I would look at that, and myself, I'm not in agreement. I think we ought to take that money and put it in the streets. Our streets needed more attention than that.
Okay.
But that's me.
Sure.
I know everybody is going to hate me for saying it, but I'm going to say it again. The PDC Industrial Park, we need to ask them to donate a little section for us to have, so that we, instead of spending money on the land, if that's a decent enough location, and or even if we have to pay them for that land, at least the city will still have the money, you know, instead of giving it to some other third individual. Ask them to give us a little piece of that portion of that property. It has good access, it has good location, if we are going to do it. Now, if what Mr. Pilata is saying is important, that's fine. But if we are going to do it, I would hate to spend money on just paying somebody to buy their land when we have a good portion. We can make a request. I mean, the worst case scenario, they'll refuse. Can't be anything worse than that.
Can you get, is it easy to get in and out of the industrial park, going both directions?
It is going one direction. I know we talked about that a year ago. Don't you have to make a U-turn to go the other way, or can you go either way right out? Either way right out? Okay. Kent and I were out, talked about this about a year ago, and I don't know for sure. I know, of course, obviously going east you can, and I think you can going west as well. I think you can go out either way.
I mean,
also.
I never.
It's a location we looked at before, and we kind of ended up not doing anything with it for a long time. So.
But it's going to be better than the hospital where you can't get out without going through passing schools.
Through a lot, through an awful lot. Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, I can sure ask to be put on their next agenda. So.
Okay, and if that doesn't work out, I have another suggestion. The land that you were going to buy for $1 for a fire station on 19th,
right?
Isn't it 20-something acres? You said it was.
Right, it's big enough. It's just a lot farther south than where we want to have that EMS station, because we get a huge number of calls. Remember, we operate in the entire county, and for whatever reason, one of our biggest sources of out of city limits calls is northwest, and so we want to be up on that loop if we can. So the PDC site's a great place for us.
Well, couldn't we even look at, rather and put the fire station there as well? Because wouldn't that also allow for development there and make it cheaper for people to develop there because their insurance costs would be cheaper? Because you got a fire station?
It wouldn't affect their ISO rating just because you're that proximity wouldn't affect your ISO rating as far as insurance costs.
I just think it's close to the hospital.
We'll pursue that. Either way, we can pursue that.
I mean, find out what the rest of the council wants to do. But I would not pay $180,000 to buy just a piece of land.
Well, we were talking 30, so not 180.
Oh, sorry.
So. I would not pay 180,000 either. So.
Okay.
Absolutely not. The third thing here, it's a small thing to us, I think. Optimist Club, of course, some of you are more familiar with it than others. They've been running ball fields out there for many years, I guess. And like so many service clubs across the country, the Optimist Club here is getting smaller and smaller. All 3 summers I've been here, they've approached us and said, gee, we're having a harder and harder time with our smaller membership to raise funds. And so each year they've said, gee, could y'all help us out with utilities to help pay for the electricity? And I think it's not our problem, so to speak, but we are the city, and it is a big part of the community. ball fields can be very expensive. Frankly, from a financial point of view, anytime you can have a service club or an organization or a private group that runs the ball fields and the city doesn't have to with tax dollars, you're way ahead. So I think within reason, anything we can reasonably do to help them out, to keep them doing what they've been doing so well for so many years, I think that's a good request. So I'd like to set aside.
My question on that is while the Optimist Club may be declining in their membership, what about the kids playing baseball? Is that decreasing as well?
I don't believe so, but they've depended on a lot of their costs. Fundraising has been a big part of their income over the years, and they're not able to do the fundraising they have in the past. So, part of that is the more you're able to fundraise, the less you can charge kids. And some kids' cost isn't a problem, but a lot of kids have to be subsidized or they don't get to play ball. And that's the big fear, is that you'll have kids in town that because of income levels in their families, they won't be able to play ball. And that's one of the fears of Optimist Club folks, and I certainly agree with that. I can see that happen. And this little bit amount of money isn't going to make a swing either way. It's just us trying to help them out. So, I mean, they're not going to be mad at us if we don't or anything like that. And I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but it's a request that they come in each year, and I said I'd pass it along.
So it's not just water. I mean, I presume we could provide water, or is that Lamar County water out there?
No, they get water from us.
Okay.
They do get water from us. So.
But they also want help with electricity?
Right. Yeah.
And they don't have gas?
I don't think so.
So they want a dollar amount?
They want whatever we'll give them. I suggested $4,800. We could give them less than that or more than that or nothing at all. Again, it's not our job necessarily, but it is a community good, I think. So I think it is, in that sense, it's our business. So.
You're suggesting how much?
$4,800.
Who's over that?
I can't think of the gentleman's name. It's been a couple of months since I met with him. I'm sorry.
Bill Sanders?
Yes. Uh-huh. And maybe you want to come back to that. I don't know, but
yeah.
Okay.
I'll come back.
All right.
I guess.
Garbage trucks. This is like fire trucks, only not nearly as exciting. We need to buy one about every other year so that we don't get behind. Right now, we're kind of, if you go out there, it's kind of like the old World War II movies where they're putting enough pieces together to build an airplane to make the next flight over Germany. We're doing that to go pick up garbage. A single missed garbage or a single missed day is not the end of the world, although citizens will let you know they think it is. But bottom line is, just like I was talking about, we've just got to get in a cycle of replacing stuff. That way, you don't get hit with having to buy 2 fire trucks in 2 years or 3 garbage trucks in 1 year, and it doesn't hurt you. I do have 1 garbage truck in this budget, and it's in the general fund where it needs to be. So that's not really what I want to talk to you about, unless for some reason you want to take that out, and please don't. But it is, how do we do this every other year indefinitely? And a garbage truck would cost, if you were to buy a garbage truck every other year like you need to, that comes down to, based on the number of customers we have, and the cost of a garbage truck was about $140,000, about 70 cents per month per customer. So what I'm suggesting is that we collect a fee of 70 cents per customer per month, that goes into an equipment replacement fund, and that way that pays for that garbage truck. The way it works right now is that garbage truck that hopefully we're going to buy in the fall is coming from the general fund, which means it's not being paid for by people when they pay their garbage bill. It's being paid for by people when they pay their sales taxes or their property taxes. And sanitation fund, the sanitation operation is supposed to work like a business where it pays for itself. That means it should have to buy its own trucks as well, not have the general fund buy the trucks for it. Same thing we do with utilities. Long term, we'd like to create a separate fund for sanitation to make sure it is paying for itself. So I know fees are always a problem. 70 cents a month doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up, and for some people it's more than for others. But we've got to pay for the trucks one way or another. It's a matter of how we pay for them.
That sounds real good to me, but I was going to ask, if you do put 70 cents, would it be another line item on the bill so people will know?
That's what I think. Yes, I think that's a good idea, so that people know that that's what it's for. We don't have to. That's up to you guys, but I think that's a good idea. And it needs to be in a separate fund so that nobody can borrow it or use it for something else, like the federal government.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, sir.
City ordinance says that our garbage fees pay for everything.
Right, right. And we need to make sure that that continues to be the case.
Cost goes up, we pay more.
Right,
Goes down, we pay less.
right. Yeah, and the best way to make sure that happens, and Gene Anderson and I have talked about this, I think the council did a little bit last year, is to create a separate fund. That way there's no, when you've got when you got sanitation funds mixed together with the general funds and some other funds too, it's hard to know exactly what's what. And so, but that's another issue. We'll talk about that later on between now and next budget year. So are we generally okay with moving on with that?
Yeah.
Okay. The next item, and this is two utilities maintenance employees that I have budgeted in there tentatively beginning April the 1st, one at the sewer plant, one at the water plant. I know Mr. Pallato's he'd like to talk about this, I believe, and has some opinions on that. And I don't feel real strong about this. This is something Doug Harris has asked for the last 2 or 3 years, and he talked about it a little bit, I guess, a month ago, that certainly he can keep those people busy. There's work to be done. He believes he can rely less on out-of-house folks with those two maintenance employees. But certainly want the council to give us their feedback on your opinions of that. And not to pick on Mr. Platt, but we talked about it a little bit by email.
Well, the only reason, that's my line of work. I do maintenance.
Right.
I'm maintenance. So, and I've toured that plant. I've toured them both.
Right.
And I don't see it. The superintendent out there on the wastewater treatment plant, it's old. He showed me things that I'm not in agreement with. I'm just not in agreement with more maintenance, utilities maintenance. I'm not.
Okay.
Because especially if he has a big breakdown, you can pull them together and take care of that breakdown, and they may tell you different, but I guarantee you they don't hardly work together because there's not that much going on. He may tell you it breaks down all the time. That's a maintenance guy. Maintenance guy will cry to you all the time that they're overloaded, but it's just not so. It's just not so.
Okay. Anybody else have any?
That item is already built into the
Yeah, that's actually in the budget now, so that's something that we'll do something with one way or another. Just want to get, again, your feedback or your direction tonight. So anybody else, or we want to move to the next item? And again, we don't necessarily have to finish this whole list tonight, because, I mean, I don't have anywhere else to go, but I don't want to.
Well, I want to remind the council that you put two employees on, that increases the budget, and that's forever. That's something. That's not just buying a fire engine or something. That's you got that from now on, because you got insurance and all the other things, which I don't mind if you really need them. I don't, but just think about
and
that.
as a reminder too, that I have them in there now for half a year, but obviously, like Mr. Platt is saying, in 2015-16, they'd be there for 12 months. There would be another increase next year too. So
what's the total cost on that?
It's about $20,000 per employee plus benefits. So about $60,000 a year when you have a full year. So it's not a huge amount of money, but it's real money. So yeah, it absolutely makes a difference. So the next two items kind of go together, and these are not included in the budget right now, but they are items that we've talked about for at least 2 years. The first one is a number of capital improvements out at the water and wastewater plants, short-term capital improvements, repairs, maintenance, those sorts of things, adding up to about $400,000, and they're included in the CIP that you got back again a month ago or 2 months ago, whenever it was, and then the other thing, of course, is funding for to begin the engineering for a replacement wastewater treatment plant or plants, theoretically. The study's been done on that, and not to get off on that subject tonight, but we talked about that, of course. So the budget does not, again, include those now. So in order to begin some of those projects this coming fiscal year, we would need to use reserves out of utilities. We do have some utilities reserves, so we could use funding for that purpose. I certainly think it makes sense to begin on the the wastewater treatment engineering. Maybe that means we begin in January, maybe it means we begin next June, but that project's not going to go away. Kind of like Dr. Hodgson was talking about earlier with the water and sewer lines, it's not going to get any cheaper. It's going to get more and more expensive every year that goes by. It is a very long project. It's not something like a water line or a sewer line that we can design it in a couple of months and build it in 6 months. It's a multi-year project. Engineering alone will take well over a year, so we're still talking about construction not starting until probably 2017 if we start in 2014, 15 with the engineering. So that's what we've got to do one of these days, and the day's getting closer and closer, so I really encourage us to think about that. I don't like spending money out of reserves for very many things, but for a one-time expense, water plants you build every apparently 70 years, since this one was built in the 1940s, originally parts of it were. That is a good use, at least to begin on the reserves. Now, let me remind you that we've got coming up in September the vote on the utility rates. And I know that's always, again, not a popular thing, but the way our rate structure is put together, we've got that coming up. And the rate structure was recommended by the consultant that does that each year for us, was based on those rates going into effect 1st of July or middle of June. And so there is less revenue coming in already into the utilities fund based on that deferral, which I agreed with and semi-recommended to you. So I'm not opposing that, but that does have an effect on this. So that all ties together into kind of one big package. So I'm running three things there together into one thing, and again, just whatever feedback you guys have for me on how to proceed with that.
Can I ask you
Yes, sir.
something on this wastewater treatment? Are you doing this because it's old? It's old, and you just feel like we need another one, or capacity? We don't have enough capacity, or what? Which one is it?
It's old and it's extremely inefficient. Operational costs per unit are way higher than they should be. We worry about reliability as it gets older. Reliability becomes more of a problem. We run the risk of getting into a problem with TCEQ. We also have safety issues at both of our plants, but especially at the water plant, the wastewater plant. I was out there a couple of months ago. We've had people injured because floors caved in. Things are just rusting to pieces. Concrete is turning to dust. It's that old. It's not just inconvenient and ugly like my car. It's just falling apart. We've got a great staff out there, and they do a good job, and they keep it running. And if this gets deferred 5 more years, I feel confident that they will keep it running. And the maintenance guys will keep griping while they're doing it. So will the operations guys. So it's not something that has to be done right now, but again, it's going to just get more and more expensive as time goes by, and we're going to spend more and more operating costs as we go by too, because it's just a really old, inefficient, very inefficient plant.
Okay, and a new one. I know everything new is more efficient. I do on it, but
It should be.
Well,
And
generally,
this one will be. I feel confident.
So if it's a new one, you think we'd save at least a third or more on cost?
Operating costs?
Operating costs?
I wouldn't want to guess. You're going to save, almost certainly you're going to save on utility costs, for example. You're going to save on a lot of the replacement costs for pumps and motors and parts and so forth and so on. The other area, of course, for cost is staffing. I don't know what kind of level of staffing you would need or not need. Some of that you have to have somebody there 24/7. Well, whether he or she has anything to do, they have to be there all night long, that sort of thing. But if you can have one person instead of 2, or if you can have 2 instead of 3, we don't know that until we design it. That's something we'll sure try for, but it's got to be designed first. And there's so many different ways to do it. And Doug's Harris is already meeting with some different engineers, and they've all kind of got different ideas, partly because they have different ideas, and partly because they want to set themselves aside from the rest of the market and wants to hire them instead of the competitors. So that's certainly something we hope, but I wouldn't want to commit to how much or how long.
Right.
So.
Okay. Got you. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else know anything on that, or okay? And then this last bullet point, and I'll save the second page for next time for sure, unless y'all are just really having a great time. And this one is more difficult probably, and I'll just introduce this one tonight, and that's compensation. And that's always a difficult thing, because you hate to tell employees no, but you hate to tell employees, citizens sometimes, hey, we're going to give all these guys a raise, and they see us goofing around or being silly and think we don't deserve them. Across the board raise, last across the board raise was 3 years ago, 2 years ago. There was a merit increase, which hit about a fifth of all employees. And since last year, there was not a raise at all. Back when we had, for 5 of the 7 of you, during January, February, March, we had your department heads come in here and talk to you about one of the problems they have is turnover. And the leading reason for turnover is because of compensation. They can go other places and make more money. And just by way of an editorial comment, and again, we probably don't have time to talk about raises a whole lot tonight, but it's really obvious and it's really easy to see, gee, it's a shame when you lose good employees because they can go somewhere else and make more money. And that's absolutely true. We hate to have a person work in the fire department or EMS or public works or wherever it is, and he or she becomes a really good employee, and they become so good, somebody else hires them away because they can pay them more money than us. You hate to see that. But even more than those people that I miss and wish they were still here are the people who could do that. And when somebody like I used to frankly do in Fairview, we would steal employees from places like Paris because we could afford it. I used to be on the other side of this. They say, no, thank you. I'm loyal to Paris. I'm going to stay in Paris because I like the place. I love where I work, and I'm going to do a good job because I'm not here just for the money. Those are the people that I really, really, really want to reward for being so loyal to their community. And we've got a whole bunch of those people. The people that work for Paris aren't the ones that are so bad they can't find a job somewhere else. They choose to work in Paris because they love Paris and they love their jobs. There's 2 or 3 exceptions, but out of 315, I think 2 or 3 exceptions is a pretty good number. So I'm really proud of the people we have, and I won't editorialize anymore, but like I said, it's most of us immediately jump to all those people that we lose. But it's those really loyal ones that stick around that I'd really like to see us do something for. So anyway, that's my editorial for the night. And if we have any questions about compensation, again, we've got other meetings coming up, other budget meetings coming up. We'll talk about budget again in 2 weeks.
Anybody have any questions at this point, or prepared to move on? No. Okay. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that. Janice, item 18, I believe.
Convene into executive session pursuant to Section 551074 of the Texas Government Code. 1, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public office or employee. Or 2, to hear a complaint or charge against an office or employee as follows. Police Chief. Subsection B, Section 551071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice regarding PIA and Death and Bond Associates forensic investigation report.
Okay, the time is now 7:48, so we'll move to executive session. Okay, it is now 8:13. We'll reconvene into executive session, or into open session, sorry. It's a long evening. And no action to be taken on the items discussed in executive session. So with that, we'll move to item 20.
Consider and approve future events for City Council and our city staff pursuant to Resolution Number 2004-081.
Anyone?
I have one quick item just to let you know. Most or all of you already know that TxDOT is working on the railroad tracks at the end of Church Street, which is great. The bad news is Friday they dug up one of our water lines, part of a drainage line, and of course, even though they dug it up, they expect us to pay for all of it. So it may be that we have to have a special council meeting for you to award a contract for someone to do some of the work. So I'll let you know as that goes along.
Who pays for it?
Well, I certainly hope TxDOT pays for it, but because of the nature of it, because school starts 2 weeks from today, we want to get it done, and then we'll fight about and sue each other later.
Okay. Item number 21.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you.